fair point.
So, are you like a superhero? Like the Gold Devil?
I'm Daredevil.
They're playing the music.
I like it.
Oh,
I love it.
ketchup
The
and mustard is
chills.
your color.
I love how they can bring in the music. It's, I mean, which is better between this and
right?
Every time there's a Daredevil crossover or a Defenders Universe crossover, they're gonna have the
Yes, like I'm all about it.
Background.
Please, nostalgia. I love it.
Member berries. Oh my god!
Hey, you found a hallway. Let's go.
Ah!
Kill them. Beat their ass. Get them.
Burn it down, Daredevil.
Oh, hope you have health insurance.
Oh! I don't want to run into this guy in a hallway ever.
Yo, that baton though. Let's go. No mercy.
I miss this so much.
I need this in my life. Hey. Oh,
Just
wow.
Hulk out and tear it off.
This is so awkward. This is I'm just
Oh
this
man,
awkward, yes.
man. You know, F off Cersei and Icarus. This is way better. Oh, who's doing the walk of shame?
Is next episode the finale?
Come on, let's go.
I find this all very
Just like a
unsettling,
tactical
how
set
much
piece
she's
at the
talking
end
to
of the
us.
season. This is the big twist, isn't it? But the question is it the kind of twist that's like, ooh, there's another Hulk, but this one's red, or like, I'm getting fridged?
Red Hulk? Like direct.
Oh, she did this! She did the snicked! She even said snicked! She did a Wolverine! She read that article. She read the Man Fights with Metal
Hey,
Claws
man.
article,
She's
and
a
that was
reader.
her.
She's a paralegal.
Welcome back to New Rockstars. She-Hulk Episode 8 gives its most impatient fans everything they could have wanted. Daredevil Matt Murdock, including the Netflix theme music, Daredevil back in a hallway, Leapfrog.
And
We got the
Sorry.
we got the horniest Marvel Disney Plus has gotten yet. Some little confirmations that Sokovia Accords were repealed and Wakanda vibranium is loose. We got a wink to Red Hulk and Wolverine. The Intelligencia humiliating Jen and bringing out her angry side. Daredevil and She-Hulk. This is Inside Marvel, New Rockstars, She-Hulk After Show. I'm Erik Voss. With me is MT. How you doing, MT?
I'm doing good, man. Today's the day. Today is Frogmas for me. I've got my boy Eugene Patilio. Hashtag free Eugene. Hashtag Eugene did nothing wrong. Absolutely, he was flawless. Morally neutral even in this episode. Just so good. I love him. Brandon did an amazing job. Like Brandon Stanley.
He was great.
Fantastic as Leapfrog.
Now you may be wondering where Jessica Clemens is. Unfortunately, she had a pet-related emergency this morning. Thoughts and prayers with this kitty cat. I hope
We
she
love you,
can-
cat.
It's not that serious. I don't think it's that serious. But also, bummer that we can't talk with her for this episode. She's still gonna be doing the breakdown though that will be coming out
Yes.
tomorrow, and you know that Easter egg breakdown's gonna be lit because so much happened in this episode. I can't wait
Yes.
to hear her thoughts about
can't
all
wait
of
to see
this.
it.
But let's react to this episode and all the crazy stuff that happened in it. The episode begins with Eugene Patilio Leapfrog. He comes to Jen wanting to sue Luke Jacobson for his suit catching fire when he tried to like stop these guys from stealing QLEDs or OLEDs, which fascinating debate, especially with the episode of House of the Dragon this week. I think a lot of people are like, which TV has the better a contrast on its screen? Because we all need some high contrast OLEDs, and HBO assumes all of us have high contrast OLEDs apparently if they release their episodes looking like this. But we find out that Eugene's father, I assume Vincent Patilio, is a major client of GLK and H, which is interesting. This episode doesn't dig that much into the Patilio family history, but I just found all that interesting. So Holloway makes Jen take on the case, and this strains her relationship with Luke. He's like, I'm not going to design any more suits for you. But remember, Jen still has that other hang-up bag that she hasn't gotten into yet. And during the trial, Luke's lawyer is Matt Murdock, whom Jen introduces with the hilarious line of, who's this asshole? And I just think she's saying that about a blind lawyer. It's so funny that she would say that.
She's like, hey, she's competition, so who's this asshole? I don't give a damn. He's like, I gotta take him down.
And as Matt was in Spider-Man No Way Home, he's just one hell of a lawyer. He's dropping legalese left and right, getting Jen's request to reveal Luke's client list denied. He also mentions that the Sokovia Accords have been repealed, which, you know, might have seemed obvious to some because plenty of superheroes have been walking around in Phase 4, but this is huge implications for the MCU, and specifically Matt's life in the MCU. We're going to talk more on that later. But Matt gets Eugene to admit that he used freaking jet fuel in his suit, so the judge dismisses the case. Now, Matt buys Jen an apple teeny, and he tells her Jen Walters can use the law to help people when society fails them, and She-Hulk can help people when the law fails them. This scene is sopping with sexual tension. I even think that apple teeny, the fact that the cherry floats all the way to the bottom of the green, I mean, that red mixed in with the green there, I can't help but read into that. The symbolism, the symbolism.
Like that's what these writers get paid for, the symbolism. Perfect.
And we have to assume that, you know, Matt Murdock is a courteous lover and he took care of business.
I would hope so. Unlike Batman. Yeah. I mean, this is Marvel we're talking about here. You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying. So Jen gets a text from Todd requesting he meet her at a bar, and then follows up less than a minute later texting, I was assured that GOK&H was a 24/7 firm. Can I call Holloway to ask if that's inaccurate?
I was so annoyed. I
hate to admit it. I have sent texts like this before when I've just been in a mood like, excuse me, I was told, you know,
wow.
People, yeah.
This, like,
people don't like me.
But like Todd himself, he's just so like creepy of a dude that it's just like, you know, that he wants something that's not business related. What a freaking creep.
Absolutely. So she meets him at this bar. He says that he bought a Wakandan spear at auction for $1 million. $1 million for a whole Wakandan spear. That's a hell of a deal. Vibranium is supposed to go for like $10,000 per gram of it. And that's a lot of grams in that spear. Wait, did I do the math right even? Wait, 10,000? I don't know how many grams that spear is. I just think $1 million for a whole fashioned Wakandan spear is really, really low. Like, I feel like if that were at the auction that Hawkeye was at, that would have gone for like 10 times that.
100%.
But he says the Wakandans are suing for it back. And he does the cringiest Wakanda Forever salute.
It was so uncomfortable for me and for Jen.
But it does like set up some interesting questions for what we're going to see in Black Panther Wakanda Forever. That seems like very much a movie that's fought a war that's waged over vibranium and how the whole world is trying to plunder those resources. You have two different kingdoms with their natural supplies of vibranium and everyone's trying to get at them. So I feel like this may be tied in with that.
Right.
Maybe like Wakanda is like reclaiming any of the vibranium that's out there. I mean, we know they've always felt this way. Like they've always felt like that's one good quality that Killmonger left them with. That like trying to reclaim the colonized items, you know. But so Jen pushes Todd away, and Daredevil is trying to catch Eugene on his sports car. And I might have missed this. Do we ever figure out exactly why Daredevil is trying to get at Eugene? Has he already found out at this point that Eugene has kidnapped Luke and that's why he's trying to get to him?
Yeah, I think so, because like She-Hulk was like, yo, like, why didn't you mention that before we fought? He was like, well, you just started punching me, man. Like, so I think he already knew.
Okay. But you know, this is just a fun thing in the MCU. Superheroes, when they look at each other, they just like start alphaing each other immediately. Like there's no time to talk. We're gonna fight. Right. This is just like the classic thing. It's like WWE. It's like people are just gonna naturally start swinging at each other.
It's what the people want to see.
So we get this great fight between them. Jen uses all of her skills. She uses she like punches the roof of the garage so that it crumbles. She uses the thunderclap. She takes Matt down. She unmasks him. Matt introduces himself as Daredevil, set to John Paisano's iconic music from the Netflix series. And yeah, there's a Rogers the Musical billboard behind them. So I guess that show is coming to LA. And you know, when I was at D23, they did an LA cast performance of I Can Do This All Day. And I loved it. Everyone was great. But my boy, Nico de Jesus was not playing Ant-Man in it, and it broke my heart. The guy that got to play Ant-Man, really good dancer, but he's no Nico de Jesus.
No Nico, man. And, like, it's not an authentic production without Nico. Do they not understand that? What are they doing?
Hey, this is the thing with Torco. This is why they do Torcos. You got to give other people a chance to take the role, but they're not the original cast. And, you know, Nico's on the original cast recording, so he's immortal.
Exactly.
He's immortal. He's in the MCU. That's what matters. So Jen and Matt arrived to Eugene's lair, the lily pad. And MT and I were talking about this before we started recording. This is insane. This is like, we started to see shit like this in Hawkeye, where they had this weird toy factory that they were hanging out in. This is a straight up like a 90s Batman supervillain lair where it's like themed. They got in like stand-up boxes of Frogger that they're playing. Like it's just wild. Anything frog related, they filled it in there. And there's like straight up goons instead of henchmen. It's like, what
I wish the
is
goons were
this?
dressed up like frogs. Like that would have been even better. It's like, hey,
like
we're all
weird little frogs.
or at least like tadpoles. He's awkwardly dressed
That's
like
what they were talking about,
tadpoles.
right? It's like they even reference that, like, or it could be baby frogs or tadpoles. It's the same thing, dude. Yeah, but I don't know if that would make them henchmen, not goons. I think at the end of the day, because then they wouldn't just be doing it for the paycheck. They'd be doing it because they believe in they want to wear their uniforms. But
True.
So yeah, Luke is in here. Eugene is like forcing him to make this new super gear. And up on the roof, Jen and Matt debate the difference between goons and henchmen. Matt takes down many of these goons in just like the neatest Holloway fight.
Yes.
I loved this. Not everything needs to be a one take that's unbroken, but I think the action itself was just pretty great. I loved how he used the surfaces to ricochet. I loved how he's doing his midair rolls and flips. That's all I need. That's all I want from Daredevil.
Hey man,
And
like
he
Marvel
delivered.
Studios knows what they're doing. That's all I needed to see, and like they clearly have a good range on Daredevil.
Absolutely. I think they fully understand what fans love about Charlie Cox's take on the character, and they have just completely stuck the landing with the way they brought him into the MCU first in Spider-Man No Way Home, introducing him as a lawyer first, and in this episode just showing how great he is as a lawyer, and then showing his vigilante skills and his combat skills. And like they even bring in the music. Like they want this to be the Daredevil that we know and love from the Netflix shows. And there's so many good things to say about. They could have made so many different choices with the way they brought him in, and they just made all the right ones. So I'm just so pleased to see that.
Love it.
So Jen smashes in. She beats up a lot of the other guys. They're able to rescue Luke. Matt says he's headed back to New York the next day. He offers to take Jen out on a date the next time they see each other, but Jen's like, let's get those fries to go. And she takes that devil down to Georgia, leaving our man grinning ear to ear as he does the walk of shame the next morning. The things he will have to confess to Father Lantom when he gets back. Oh,
Forgive me, Father, I clapped those green cheeks. Forgive me, Father.
Father Lantom's like, oh, dear me.
I'm gonna need more details than that, my son. Just kidding.
And then Matt's just like, no, I don't think I will.
I don't.
Just cut to him and Jen pounding to It's Been a Long, Long Time.
Oh my god.
Just that bed smashed to splinters. So at this point, the episode gets really interesting. Jen addresses the audience. She's assuming the episode should be over. And I looked at the time at that point. It's like 24 minutes. This is normally when we cut to credits. And I just love the awareness there. But she realizes it's the penultimate episode. So it's time for a tacked on cliffhanger twist. Jen wonders if it'll be Red Hulk or if she'll get fridged. And I don't know about you, MT, but I felt like I know Jen has broken the fourth wall several times on this series. This moment felt supremely unsettling to me.
Yeah.
Like just like her confusion about a reality right now. This is the first time she's broken the fourth wall without just mild concern or judgment or just laughing something off. She's like, what is happening right now? I felt like WandaVision, where, Wanda was like, I don't understand if I'm in a TV show. Like I felt like it's the ring and the character's gonna pop out of the screen and slap me.
Yeah. And like it's that loss of control feeling, because like, in WandaVision and we knew that Wanda was in control, and then like she lost control, and then here she looks like, this is my show, and like she's always been in control, but like she's literally like, I don't know why you guys are still here. Like you guys usually go when I need you to go. So like I feel like God is watching us, like the Watcher's watching us at this really pivotal moment in my life. Like, what's gonna happen?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I think this was such a good like tonal adjustment in at the end of the episode, because the episode had been so much fun and just a good vibes, like classic MCU, two superheroes coming together, funny, trading quips, fighting a little bit, then working together, having some great collaboration, and then hooking up. Like, it had that great chemistry that's always been the best part of the MCU. So we needed an adjustment there to, like, you know, make us worry suddenly. And I think Jen did a good job saying, like, something bad's about to happen.
Right.
And this was, like, really uncomfortable. I don't know, just living in the living room with her for a moment. It felt like the Fleabag moment where, like, Andrew Scott turns around and it freaks us out. Like, sometimes it's breaking the fourth wall can just, like, really get under your skin. But you're totally right, MT. It's the loss of control is what it's all about. And it's really good that they did that, because that's what this finale scene's all about. We see Jen. Oh, by the way, yeah, Nikki totally impersonates Wolverine there. She does the snicked sound, which I just love.
Like, it
so
makes,
fun.
I'm wondering how prevalent Wolverine is in this universe. Like, what has he done? And, like, it seems like people know that he's out there, and, like, people are aware that he exists to some degree.
Yeah, it's hard to know how self-aware Nikki is on this show. I think a lot of the Easter eggs in the show are just being plugged in just as, like, nods to the fans, as opposed to in-universe interconnectivity. Like, this kind of like Indiana Jones Easter eggs showing up in Star Wars. I don't think they're meant to tell us that, like, Indiana Jones exists in carbonite somewhere in Star Wars. I think it's just kind of like a nod to the fans at that point. But I don't know. Nikki's also breaking the fourth wall to look at the camera with her eye rolls. So I don't know what she's all about. There's all kinds of fun conspiracy theories about Nikki. So on to this gala, we found out that Jen receives an award, but so does, like, several other female lawyers here, Mallory Book, and, like, this totally ridiculous ceremony where, like, they have this guy saying, how does it feel to be a female lawyer? I mean, if this were really, I think the organization is real. I don't know if the whole event is a sham, because the event just feels kind of like, the hell is this event?
Yeah, it felt like a pageant, man. It just felt like, hey, like, here's a bunch of ladies that are lawyers, and, like, you know, we're just gonna give them all awards, because I feel like, you know, whoever was in charge didn't really care about the event. It's just like, hey, let's recognize all these ladies rather than, you know, picking one that, like, it was exemplary. They're just like, hey, whatever. Ladies are smart. Let's just do this event. And, like, it just showed that, like, you know, they didn't really put much care, in my opinion.
For sure. I think it is a commentary on how a lot of these events are like, we've never done one of these before, or every past year we've nominated a man for this, so we need to do one for the women, and then, like, celebrate all the women who we overlooked in previous years, and then that feels kind of like an insult as well. I get that. It just feels like that the fact that they would have that guy on stage asking that question, you would think, like, even if the event were set up to, like, awkwardly celebrate them, they wouldn't have that, like, Mario Lopez dude on stage who's, like, making them, you know, asking them a stupid question. But I don't know, we can look into the conspiracy of that, because, like, how long it takes Nikki to get them to turn off that video. You would think anybody in the control booth would be like, just turn this off. It's a switch. But, like, there's some guy in the booth who's like, no, let it play. He locks the door. Let them watch all of Jen's tea. MT and I were also laughing about before this is, like, this video. It's like, it's almost, like, insane. The Intelligencia doing this anonymous style, but there's, like, two of them. One's awkwardly taller than the other. And they play. Now, before they get to the revenge porn, which is disgusting and awful and horrifying that they do that, it's really like they're grasping at straws to, like, they just show, like, her photos on the phone, her dating profile matchups, and then, like, her cable bill, her bank statement, and there's nothing damning in any of this stuff. Like, if I were at that event, I'd be like, leave this woman alone.
Seriously, like, this
nothing...
is just the phone of a regular lady. Like, why did you guys do this?
There's nothing controversial here. I just think what's awful is the revenge porn, because it's not like She-Hulk has ever, like, she has a public dating profile. Like, it would have gotten out there already that she is someone who is sexually active and is like not trying to, like, be this puritanical figure. She has this public figure already of being someone who hooks up with people. So just to have, like, you just feel bad for her. I don't think anyone in that room would look at that and be like, oh, this slut. Seriously. Except for the shitty Intelligencia dudes. I think everyone would be like, okay, we don't have to look at this right now. If this were a real event honoring female lawyers, I don't think anyone in that room, other than, like, Todd, who's obviously part of the Intelligencia, right? Maybe Holloway. I just found this really weird. But obviously what it's about is it's not really about trying to tarnish Jen's reputation. It's just trying to piss her off. They're trolls. They're just trying to get her to snap in that moment. And I think that's the broader takeaway here is that when when trolls are at their worst, they're not making any valid points. They're just trying to say and do the things that are just going to get you to snap. And that's what they feed on is your response to it.
Yeah.
And your meltdown. And that's what happens. They're successful.
No, I think that's a really great point, especially considering that we're dealing with the Intelligencia and like we know that they want Jen's blood, but like these guys are scientists and like they're dealing with the Hulk. So just like, hey, how mad can we get this woman to like maybe lose control to see like if she's actually has the reins to this her Hulk personality? And we see her like lose control a little bit, and like I think that may be a hint towards things to come in the future for her character. But like we were talking about before, I don't like any normal person if they saw like this woman's phone get like posted on at an event, everyone would be like, yeah, we understand why you destroyed the screen. That's pretty normal response. I would probably respond the same way if I had your power. So like I don't know why people are freaked out. It's like she's not hurting anyone. She just punched a TV. Several TVs, I guess. Yeah,
I don't know why I don't know why it's only Nikki trying to get the video taken down. I think every woman on that stage would be like, they'd be trying to cover the screen with their hands. So they'd be like, all right, everyone turn away. Like, I understand not all women are allies to each other. And that's like something that happens. There could be competition. It was just like a weird moment. It's weird how it like you would think that there would be something very specific that would be embarrassing. Maybe that something specific was her hooking up with Josh. I get why Jen would be pissed off. I'm not saying that they did a really good job building that up. I would just say like if there would be something really like professionally embarrassing. I guess for a lawyer, I don't know. Lawyers have different standards, right? Like that is something they have like their morality clauses and get judged against that. I guess if you're a lawyer, there's like certain. I'm overthinking it. I just like I always find it interesting how effective how effective the Intelligencia is when how clearly hapless they are at the same time. Like we often blur the lines when in the real world when we assume conspiracy from organizations and government entities when we really should just assume incompetence from them. But in this case, it's like it's hard to imagine a group. Are we meant to be afraid of them? Like legitimately afraid of them in this universe, or are we meant to see them as like a parody of something and kind of like think they're pathetic? Because like there are different moments where like they're super effective at fooling Jen and they have like scary needles. But at the same time, they also just look like internet trolls. So we don't really know yet. I assume that will get revealed next episode. I mean, maybe they're both. I assume that there's like a division of like super smart, super effective scientists who are using this network of like trolls to like help accomplish their goals.
True. And like, nerds can be kind of incel-y sometimes. So like maybe just like the Intelligencia is just like, also just incels. Like they just have incels on the team. They're just like, hey, let's just take down Jen because we don't like her. So it could be both. I don't know.
Absolutely. I think like one thing that I hope comes out of this show is like we do need to very specifically define what an incel is. Because I think right now it's being used as like a blanket term to describe lots of problematic toxic male behaviors that like toxic masculinity is a widespread, broad problem in society with lots of different facets and permutations. And not all of them are specifically incels. Incels is like a specifically scary one, but I think like when you just kind of like paint them all as incels, you're really missing the scarier problem when it comes to toxic male masculinity is like something that can infect even the whitest of white knights who your most loyal male feminist allies can have a bit of toxic masculinity. They could have healthy sex lives because incel means involuntarily celibate. It means they have this lifestyle where they don't want to have sex with women, because they think that the system is rigged against them. So they're being forced into this lifestyle. Like it's a very specific thing. And I think people should it's scary. There's a scary amount of research that's ahead of all of us, but we should all do it just so we know what we're actually dealing with here. Anyway, I love how Jen punches her own screen self in the booty hole to destroy the screen. She's like, and now. That's exactly where she has to punch.
It's like silence his booty hole.
So the whole screen comes down. Everyone's scared. She turns into a true, like, classic Hulk that everyone's afraid of. The soldiers show up. They're ready to hit her with those sonic cannon guns and restrain her. And just this sad final shot where she is like got the rubble in her hair. She looks at the camera and she's like helpless in that moment. She's like looking at the audience being like, help, like, what do I do here? And I think such a great way to end the episode. And what a great episode overall. Like, I think this is exactly what we want from She-Hulk.
Sure.
And this episode, of course, I think nailed Daredevil's introduction to the MCU. After we saw Matt Murdock in No Way Home, this is really Daredevil. We got the flips, the beatdowns, everything that we love about the character from the Netflix series. They engage in the horny hookups that we see a lot more of in Marvel Comics. But perhaps more importantly now, Matt as just an all-star lawyer. He establishes a new legal precedent in the MCU when it comes to the Sokovia Accords. And I think this is what the MCU has always done really well. I think for a lot of the MCU origin stories, they've been a bit boring at times. Some of them have been amazing and great, but what makes the MCU really fun is when those characters leave their origin stories and join other characters in team-ups, either in the final acts of their movies or in the next movie. Like, I think Thor did not become fun until the 2012 Avengers film. Most of those Avengers did not become fun until that 2012 Avengers film. They're always compounding each other's powers. They always are built more on their chemistry with other characters and that promise that any of them can show up and help each other or fight each other at any point. That's really the dazzle of the Marvel world. Right. Compared to, this is just my analysis of it. I'm not saying this is true 100% of the time, but I think I'm more likely to watch a DC superhero alone, going through their own private battle, whereas I want to see the Marvel characters in a sandbox and at a party.
Right.
You know, it's always weird to me when DC superheroes do too much team up, because I know things like Justice League exist. I know a lot of them team up all the time. I find it more fun when they're in their own weird, dark little cave or whatever.
Right.
So, but yeah, the Sokovia Accords, a big game changer, and it's a very big deal for Daredevil in particular. So that's what we're going to talk about here. But MT, why don't you hit us with that merch plug?
Yeah, guys, be sure to head on over to newrockstarsmerch.com today to grab our latest Obsession shirt, Lady Justice, inspired by She-Hulk, Attorney at Law. The shirt is limited edition, and when you purchase it, you unlock the ability to get a custom shout-out that will appear right here on Inside Marvel. So support the channel and check out all of our awesome merch options over at newrockstarsmerch.com today.
Yes. Now, MT, let's dive deeper into this discussion. What was, I think, the biggest question coming out of this episode?
Yeah, I think the biggest question is, why is the Sokovia Accords being repealed such a big deal for Daredevil?
Yeah, so ever since Avengers Endgame, the Sokovia Accords have come up time to time in interviews with Marvel execs and directors and showrunners. Everyone's asking if the legislation from Captain America Civil War is still affecting the MCU Phase 4. Since the Avengers successfully reversed the snap and defeated Thanos, would the planet really still care about reining them in with this superhero registration? In Phase 4, though, if you think about it, the government has really been restrictive of superhero activities. And WandaVision's sword set up that perimeter around Wanda. They used White Vision to try to kill her. And the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, government forces confiscated Cap's shield from John Walker. In Spider-Man No Way Home, the DODC tried to prosecute Peter Parker and his friends and family and confiscated Stark Industries tech. In Ms. Marvel, the DODC cracked down on enhanced individuals. And in Black Panther Wakanda Forever, the UN is coming down on Wakanda to share their vibranium. But now Matt Murdock confirms that the Sokovia Accords have been repealed in the MCU. And that is a huge win for superheroes everywhere, especially ones who prefer anonymity and some autonomy. And we know our man Matt Murdock prefers being a superhero in that vein. Actually, one has to imagine that Matt Murdock himself might have played a role in getting these accords appealed or repealed. He probably appealed and got them repealed because he could have been filing some legal memos on Nelson and Murdoch letterhead. Imagine there's probably lots of lawyers from around the world who are sending in briefs and memos. I don't know what government agency you'd have to appeal to, probably the UN. But I feel like he might have filed some anonymous brief. There could have been a lot of more high-profile public figures who got them repealed, but we didn't see this movement. It may have just been a decision made by the UN in the aftermath of the blips. Like, oh, we don't need to enforce this anymore.
Right. I think it'd just be a highly unpopular decision politically after, like, the Avengers saved the universe for, like, to be like, all right, now we're going to crack down on you guys. It's like, it just wouldn't be a good move.
Right.
for them.
Right, absolutely. Like, it'd be one thing if like government agencies didn't enforce it. That's often what happens when there's an unpopular law. They just stop enforcing it, and then eventually. But for it to be fully repealed, it would mean that there would have to be some government forces who are still enforcing it, and then a widespread social and political movement to fully and legally repeal it. And in order to do that, that's hard. You got to get a lot of people lined up, and you got to make sure that like there's significant political pressure on them. And my thinking is there might have been some superhero who was unjustly prosecuted. Now, you could say that happened to Spider-Man, but no one really remembers that, right? After the memory wipe. So it makes us wonder, like, what superhero right now in the world? Would it be like Sam Wilson, Captain America, maybe? Did he get into some trouble? Did someone else? Did Bucky Barnes? Because Bucky Barnes was still bound by the Sokovia Accords. Did like the world come and rally around him? Did Wakanda speak out on behalf on Bucky Barnes? Because like obviously they have this loyalty to him. And I think that's a theory I'm going to go with. I'm going to say like Ramonda went in front of the UN because we know she's getting in all kinds of fights at the UN and says, this white wolf saved all your lives. He shot at least 3 of Thanos' troopers. I saw it. I counted all the kills in the Battle of Endgame, and he got a couple of them. So you need to show some gratitude and repeal these stupid accords. Now, for Matt, this legally resets the MCU into the murkier, but in some ways better place it was before Civil War. Think about the timeline here. When was right before the Battle of Sokovia? April 2015. When did Daredevil premiere on Netflix? April 10th, 2015, 3 weeks before Age of Ultron released. Now, I know these release dates aren't that important to the MCU when it comes to in-universe continuity, but I think this is a signal for the kind of tone and creative thinking Marvel Studios is operating under when it comes to bringing Daredevil into the MCU. They don't want Daredevil fighting the same cosmic wars as we saw the Avengers fight in Infinity War and Endgame right now, when they were forced to be these weird global celebrities and global fugitives. No, I just think for now they want Matt Murdock to be the guy in New York who he was when he was there around the same time the Avengers were in 2015. This Matt Murdock in this episode of She-Hulk is fully established. He's already practicing with Nelson and Murdock. He's taken on pro bono cases. He's struggling to pay the bills. He's already the Daredevil vigilante with his iconography and name decided. Now his suit is different because he's getting special suits from Luke Jacobson, but he knows his name is Daredevil. This is not like pre-season 1 Daredevil on Netflix. He has his batons. He's got a lot of gear. And the thing is, it's just not exactly clear how it's going to connect because Charlie Cox has made it clear in interviews that Daredevil Born Again will not be a 4th season of the Netflix series. It's not going to pick up right where season 3 left off. However, I think now by sampling the Netflix music, Marvel Studios doesn't want to erase this character's history. No, far from it. I expect Daredevil's future appearances in the MCU and Daredevil Born Again will just avoid spending too much time referencing Matt's past in that series, like his specific battles with Fisk and Bullseye in the Hand, his experiences with Elektra and Frank Castle, and anything he did with the Defenders. Not to say Matt didn't go through those things. I just think they're going to skirt over it and say things like Matt and Fisk had a history and leave it at that. And then new things will happen to them in the MCU that better defines their conflicts more presently going forward. Now, Matt's declaration that the Sokovia Accords have been repealed is the MCU's way of signaling that Daredevil has been operating anonymously all this time and can continue to do so without legal retribution. But it also sets a stage for the debate over superhero registration to come back in this new era of the MCU that has mutants and other enhanced individuals in it. And we might be able to have a proper civil war. Because I think one thing that was missing from the Captain America Civil War movie is the true debate over superhero registration. We got it in the first act, and then it just kind of got away from that and became more of a personal fight between Cap and Bucky and Tony. But I think what we really need is like a widespread debate over superhero registration now that we have people who are not clearly Avengers per se, but just like other people who have powers in the MCU. And I think Daredevil as a truly anonymous superhero, one of the few ones left who still covers his face. I think he's going to have a lot to say on that. And to have like a real lawyer, potentially lawyers on opposite sides of that Civil War, just imagine like a legal battle between She-Hulk and Matt Murdock, where She-Hulk as a public superhero is like, no, I think superheroes should have to register. And Matt Murdock is having the other argument. Do you think it's time we have like a true Civil War series, MT?
I honestly feel like this is one of the main points of She-Hulk existence in the MCU, because like we've been introduced to so many heroes in this show. Like the MCU feels completely different before after She-Hulk than it did before, because we know that like all these crazy people like Man-Bull and Agula and all these like, you know, just villains and good guys are out here just populating the MCU, and I think that that's purposely done so that we can get to a Civil War II scenario, because it happened in the comics, and like I feel like Kevin Feige really does want to just have a really like a proper Civil War, like you said. Like it's just like straight up like we have all the characters now, like we're just putting all these like we want a huge massive war happening in America for people fighting for their rights to privacy, and I think that, you know, this is the path that we're heading on. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a Civil War II announcement in our near future, because it'd be really fun.
Yeah, and one thing we were talking about before is this possibility that you could format it in a different way. You have like maybe a 6-episode series on Disney Plus. You have different tie-ins. You have each episode is kind of an anthology focusing on a different character's reaction to this legal dispute. You can have like spin-off series the way that you did in the comics, and then it all culminates in a movie, like a theatrical release film. So like make it a huge event that spans multiple titles and multiple properties and multiple formats, and make it truly like drag everyone into it. And I think you can't just do Civil War in one movie. I think you don't even have to call it Civil War. You can call it anything else. But like, I think there is so much more storytelling there. And I don't think the Sokovia Accords were the proper legal basis on which to have that argument in Captain America Civil War, because there's so much more to talk about there than what they did in that movie.
I honestly feel like now that we know that the leader is going to be a major force in Cap 4, I think that like everything that has happened to She-Hulk and potentially Bruce in the series have been calculated by the leader specifically to usher in the Sokovia Accords back into the MCU. Because now that we know that they're repealed, I think that there are forces like, you know, Hydra, that want that control, that want that like actual like database of everyone that is wearing a mask, so that they can control them and sort of like find them. I think that this could be like Hydra or some type of organization working with the leader to try to, you know, get these accords by using She-Hulk and like her freaking out at that event. It's just like, hey, it's more juice to be like, we need these people under control, because these people have superpowers, and like they don't have a full control of their powers sometimes. We saw that Miss Marvel sort of like with the DODC going after this girl with powers and like sort of trying to paint her as this threat to society. I think that getting society scared of superhumans is what Kevin Feige and Marvel Studios are sort of like leaning towards, because then that's when it's going to then it's going to usher in mutant xenophobia and like all that, you know, just mutant phobia in general. And then we'll see the introduction of the Sentinel program and all that stuff. So yeah,
baby.
So I just feel like this is a really exciting time.
Yeah, I love how you're thinking right now, MT. And I wonder if like would they call it the Sokovia Accords? Probably not, right? I think like other big things have happened in the universe since the Battle of Sokovia, but I wonder if they could call it the Wakanda Accords now.
Ooh.
Like for what's going to happen to Wakanda in Black Panther Wakanda Forever, how it gets flooded. Maybe that fight's going to spill over and affect other countries. Maybe they use Wakanda as kind of this like basis, like, oh, look what happened to Wakanda when superheroes tried to live in the shadows and they tried to fight their wars privately. Look at all these innocent people who died. And the UN may try to use that as a predicate to announce new superhero registrations in Phase 5. And the Wakandans are like, please don't use our name this way. We didn't ask you to do this. I don't know. We'll see. Or they don't have to name it after a country either. There's plenty of other, like in the Civil War comics, it has nothing to do with a specific country getting destroyed. There's like an incident where like a school gets blown up, and it's one of many incidents.
They could do the Westview Accords, because like that whole thing.
Oh,
Westview.
Sure. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I think Westview. Oh, yeah. MT, you get a Rogie for coming up with that. That's great. You get a Rogie bug. All right, there's a lot more to talk about this episode, so we want to get to it. We want to thank Blue Chew for sponsoring this episode. While nobody wants to be a werewolf by night, some of us want to be a love wolf by night, and that's right, this episode's also brought to you by Blue Chew. Confidence can take you far in life. It can also help in the bedroom, and that's where Blue Chew comes in. Blue Chew is a unique online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, but in chewable tablets and at a fraction of the cost. You can take them anytime, day or night, so you can plan ahead. Just be ready for whenever an opportunity arises. The process is simple. You sign up at BlueChew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you'll receive your prescription within days. It's all done online. No visits to the doctor's office, no awkward conversations, no waiting in line at the pharmacy. Blue Chew's tablets are made in the USA and prepared and shipped direct to your door in a discreet package. So if you could benefit from some extra confidence when it's time to perform, Blue Chew can do it and make your partner howl at the moon. Find your inner Daredevil and find yourself a She-Hulk and get Blue Chew in the conversation. And we got a special deal for our audience. Try Blue Chew free when you use our promo code MARVEL at checkout. Just pay the $5 in shipping. That's BlueChew.com. Promo code MARVEL to receive your first month free. Visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information. We thank Blue Chew for sponsoring this show. All right, let's talk about the Intelligencia coming out of this episode. What do you think their end game is, MT? Do you think Todd might have melted down that vibranium spear for the needle, or was he just bragging to Jen right now? Could Todd be a red herring?
It'd be really fun if Todd was a red herring. I think that'd be really funny. But like, I think one of those guys that She-Hulk picked up is straight up Todd. I think the guy she picked up at the end was Todd in a mask, because it just sort of fit his, like, you know, his body profile. And I think the Intelligencia's endgame here is to get She-Hulk's blood to potentially make another more Hulks and more like superpowered beings. For what purpose? It could be either to create more chaos in the world, or just, you know, just have the Hulk super soldier serum perfected so that they can just have their own army of Hulk people. But like, I also just truly believe that, you know, the Intelligencia is working in tandem with the leader to try to manipulate society. And like, the leader is thinking a million steps ahead at all times. And we should all be wary about the leader. Now that he's in play, everything that happens in the MCU could be purposely calculated by this man. This man is God levels of smart. Like, he can see the future. He's super OP. So yeah, I think that, you know, we could be seeing the Intelligencia manipulating She-Hulk to just sort of get these Sokovia Accords back in play, and to sort of have government entities that can be influenced by secret shady organizations like Hydra or the Intelligencia, just to have power and to have like that control over the superhero community. Because like, if I'm a villain and I have all like a database of all these superheroes, I'm going to abuse that, much like Norman Osborn did in the Dark Reign comics. Like, once Norman Osborn was in charge, the first thing that this dude did was try to access the Sokovia Accords to find out who Spider-Man was, and Tony just deleted it all, which was super smart of Tony. But yeah, no, it's easy power to abuse, and I think that people want that power again. Because the Sokovia Accords were a huge power grab in terms of, you know, getting all these superheroes in line. But what do you think?
No, yeah, it makes a lot of sense, MT. Now it seems like the season is shaping up in a way that Todd represents the internet troll faction of the Intelligencia, but you have like two factions of it. You have like the more outward facing internet trolls who operate whatever this website is, and Todd represents that. I think he's just like a rich jerk. I think he does own the vibranium spear, but I think there is another darker faction represented by the leader and represented by other figures in the Intelligencia, maybe figures like Dr. Doom, and they are on a mission to get as many vibranium weapons as they can.
Right.
So I think that's what's going to get introduced next episode. I don't think Todd is going to be the ultimate villain. I think he is meant to be kind of like a red herring, like, but I don't have enough attention type character. Whereas he represents a more nefarious entity that is very real and very scary. And that represents the more effective. Maybe they even say like, we use all of these toxic men in their postings as like a front, so people don't take us seriously, or people don't think maybe they think we're just this. We're just like a 4chan, a parlor, or the darkest version of these things. But in reality, they're like, oh, we're way worse. And we use that as a smokescreen, so they think that's all we are. But we're actually straight up trying to steal your blood. And we're well-funded, well-trained scientists funded by Victor Von Doom or whoever else. I think we're going to learn a lot more about these guys at the end of Black Panther Wakanda Forever. I think this is all part of the same conspiracy, the same operation to just plunder the world's vibranium, to have like other weapons and other advanced weaponry to control superheroes. And I think that makes a lot of sense, that they're trying to reenact some form of the superhero registration to like force superheroes to register so that they're more controllable by government agencies. Now, we got this nod from Jen when she's talking to audience, is going to be another Hulk that's red. So do we think that this means that we're not going to see Red Hulk on this show?
I think that, you know, due to the passing of William Hurd, I think that they'll sort of like delay Red Hulk, maybe for the Thunderbolts. Just wait for that and like sort of like figure out how to do that there. But I honestly believe that we're gonna see Madman. Like I've been preaching Madman for weeks now, and Madman is another Red Hulk being in the Marvel Comics who is the leader's brother. And now that the leader is back in play, I think that we're gonna see Madman face off against Hulk, and like Todd will be the MCU's take on Madman potentially, or maybe like Todd is working on behalf of Madman. But I honestly believe that we're gonna see that. Once I heard Red Hulk, I was like, oh shoot, is this like a tease for Madman? I'm so excited. But I don't think that we're gonna see like proper like Red Hulk Thaddeus Ross in this season.
Yeah.
But unless William Hurt shot things, I don't know how the passing works.
Yeah,
but
I don't think so.
Yeah, but
yeah, I think he had cancer for a while. But what's interesting is it's weird that she said it at all, because I don't know how to read it. Are we going to get a moment next episode where we do see a Hulk figure who is red, and she's going to be like, oh, it's that one, and like she calls back that line, or if it's just like they included it here just to say like we're aware that this theory exists, but we're not going in that direction. My thinking is based off of what the Marvel Disney Plus shows have done in the past, that it's going to be the latter. They're going to go in a different direction. Okay. I like that they brought up fridging. Be sure to do your own research and look up what fridging is, because it's a very, very annoying trope when they do this, and they keep doing it. I don't think She-Hulk will do it, obviously. They seem pretty aware of that. But it's basically where they just like completely kill off a character by like just stuffing them in a fridge somewhere. And then it's first when it happens to women in the shows.
This is the MCU's second DC Comics reference after Eternals.
Yeah.
It's like, fridging is a DC Comics. Came from, Green Lantern.
We obviously have a lot of questions about Jen's future appearing in Daredevil Born Again. That seems pretty far off. I think they're going to start shooting it next year, but I think it's very likely that she could team up with him. But are there any other final predictions you want to make for next week? This is the longest Marvel Disney Plus show we've had. I guess no, WandaVision had 9 episodes. It does feel like we're back in WandaVision, right? Anyway, it's just nice to live in a world for a while, and that's what it feels like we've been doing on She-Hulk. Any final predictions? Any big swings you want to take?
I think that, we're going to get to see the leader at the very, very, very end of the finale. Just like, hey, I'm here. I'll see you in Cap 4 type of scenario. So I think that we'll see that appearance, and I think that we will see Jen fight a Hulk in the finale. And I think that Hulk is going to be Madman because it just ties in the theme of like family, because like, Jen is Bruce's cousin and Madman is the leader's brother. And so it's just sort of just like, hey, these two nemesis's family members are fighting. Yeah, I just think that we're going to see Jen just face off against the Intelligencia, learn that Hulk King is Todd, and then like Todd use Jen's blood to Hulk out because he's so obsessed with being a Hulk. But yeah, what do you think? I'm
not confident that Todd will actually Hulk out on this show. I do think we'll definitely see Abomination hulking out because we know from trailer footage. I have a lot of questions about Abomination's therapy group and whether they were actually truly nice guys. I'm a little worried because I think it's really going to hurt episode 7 looking back on it if some of those guys were lying to Jen or manipulating or exploiting Jen in some way, right? Because I think we needed that to be a genuine, wholesome conversation in order for the thematic journey of this series to make sense. Right. But I think we will see a Hulk rumble in some way. Right. I think Bruce is going to come back. I think Bruce is coming back in this episode. I think Abomination and Bruce are going to have a conversation. I think they'll all be part of some kind of rumble. I don't know if it'll be Todd that hulks out. I hope that we have some other kind of Hulk monster. I just think at some point we would have seen more to set that up. It's going to feel like, whoa, this completely came out of nowhere. I think a lot of people after next week are going to be like, okay, they stuck the landing, but episode 8 was the better episode. I think we're going to look back as episode 8 as the high watermark of this season. And hey, that's not a bad thing because this was an incredible episode of television overall. And we got the introduction of Leapfrog, and I think that this is very much the beginnings for Leapfrog's journey into the MCU. Oh, I hope so. Because I hope so. We have a lot of questions. His dad is super rich. I have a lot of questions about GOK and H and what their morality ties are, what their ethical considerations are, because they have a lot of problematic clients. Right. And I think this series will end with Jen leaving GLK and H. I think she's going to start her own law firm. I think that's going to be Jen Walters, attorney at law, is going to be that kind of thing. Or I don't know, maybe the title will just be She-Hulk attorney at law. It'll be her own law firm, the way that like some of these other shows just end with the name of the character, you know?
Right.
I think it's going to be that. I would just be surprised if like another major MCU villain appears on this show in the post-credits. I think we may get a hint at some other conspiracy. Like I think we may get confirmation that the Intelligencia there's another faction of it, but we won't see Tim Blake Nelson necessarily. It'd be awesome if we did. I would just be surprised if we do.
Oh, also one thing, now that we have Leapfrog here, I honestly really want Marvel Studios to put Leapfrog with the guys from Abomination's group to make a Misfits TV show, because all of them would be perfect. Like Leapfrog, Porcupine, all like Aguila. It would just be so funny, just because like I feel like they would all work very well together.
I'll leave you with like my big swing pitch, and you know I'm kind of adjusting it from what my big swing pitch was with you and Jess, where I said that like portals would open and then we'd have a Hulk version of like zombie Tony Stark, a Hulk version of the mocapped face of William Hurt, the mocap version of Chadwick Boseman's face, and the mocap version of Queen Elizabeth II's face. I don't think all those Hulks are going to fight together. I think after watching this episode, instead what's going to happen is they're going to come out of portals and just immediately start each other. They're just going to get a big orgy pile, and they're going to distort all those beloved people's faces into making orgasm faces. And they're going to add a last one, and it's going to be that Try Guy who got canceled, and he's just going to be at the top of the pile just trying to get in there.
Oh, no.
Did I go too far?
Hey,
Did I go too far?
The Try Guys mentioned was timely. Very timely reference.
I had to work it in. We'll leave it there for this episode of Inside Marvel. Jess, we missed you so much.
Yes.
Please join us for the finale. I hope your kitty cat got cleaned up.
I hope she's okay.
Follow MT at MasterTainment. Follow me at EA Voss. Again, Jess's breakdown of this episode, all the Easter eggs, is coming out tomorrow, so keep an eye out for that. Today, you're going to get my Andor breakdown, and you're going to love that because it's such a good show. Also tomorrow, Marvel's Werewolf by Night is coming, and I did.
Oh my God, you guys are in for a treat. It's gonna be it's so much fun.
I'm trying to move my hands in a way that people won't be able to use this in ways that are bad. You know, just gonna add things. It's too late. There's plenty of ways you can do that to me from archive footage. But yeah, Werewolf by Night. I have an Easter egg breakdown coming out to the channel, and you're gonna love it. You're gonna love this show, and I found all kinds of cool stuff in there. So subscribe to Inside Marvel wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Hey, Frog Squad, let's go.